Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel for a 6th day in a row, I believe it is. It is 6 days in a row, which is pretty mental, so if you are new, be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe. We're going to try and keep the daily uploads going as long as possible. Hopefully, it'll keep the good content coming as well. That's all I can hope for. So today, as you can see by the title, we are reacting to my Premier League predictions. So last season, I made my Premier League predictions on my blog. I didn't have the YouTube channel at this point, so that's why I did it. I did it on the blog, and we'll just jump into it as you can see on your screen right now. This is my blog, and it had a picture of Liverpool winning the Premier League at the top. And if you are interested in reading any of my blog posts, there is a link in the description to them for you. So, first thing to talk about is I'm not an expert at football by any stretch of the imagination, even though some people might like to consider me one, but I am not, unfortunately, and so I have not seen these. This is me fresh looking at these right now with you guys from the beginning of the year. So let's dive into this. So the Premier League predictions, and I believe I went from 20th to 1st, so we'll do that again today. So in 20th position we had Aston Villa.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Starting us off at the foot of the table, Villa were very lucky to survive last season with a poor VAR decision ultimately deciding their fate. I think that is what actually sold me on this, was the fact that that VAR decision kept Aston Villa up. I wasn't convinced on like Ollie Watkins, who was coming in, and people like that, because I don't watch much Championship football, and I think there's always a risk around bringing in Championship proven strikers. But they've proven me wrong. They've happily proven me wrong. And thankfully for Villa, they've stayed up this year, and they had a really good year for the most part. Moving on into 19th position, and I believe I got this one absolutely bob on in 19th place, putting West Bromwich Albion. To be honest with you, I wasn't convinced that they had the goals in them. I can see that I've put the baggies of an aging Charlie Austin and an aging Hal Robson-Kanu up front, who surely can't find the back of the net very often. And that is really the story of their season. They didn't create enough goals, they didn't score enough, and they conceded a lot at the back. They actually conceded the most goals in the entirety of the Premier League season this season. Matheus Pereira, I said, could have racked up a few goals. He did. He had a decent season, Matheus Pereira, but nothing more to say on that one. I got it perfectly right, and I'm sure that won't happen again in this video.
Very false.
Moving on, I put 18th in Crystal Palace. So out of the relegated 3, I have actually only got one right. But Crystal Palace, they finished 14th under Roy Hodgson. I think I went off the idea that Wilfried Zaha was going to leave, and he has a little bit been priced out of moving away from Crystal Palace. But the 7-8-0 loss they suffered against Liverpool was probably the lowest that this team got to. But overall, they finished 14th this season. I predicted them to get relegated. Fair play, Crystal Palace. In 17th place is Fulham. So that was the first of the relegated sides. One place out on this one. I thought Fulham had learnt from the last time that they came up. They didn't make wholesale changes. They kept the squad very similar, and I thought that that would suit them well coming up, rather than changing 10, 11 players and spending £100 million. And I thought it might be Mitrovic's year to, finally actually score in the Premier League well and consistently. But it hasn't happened. It has not happened. Moving on to 16th place, and I have Brighton and Hove Albion. So I have actually got 2 right. I didn't know I got 2 right, but so far we've had one massively wrong and a couple bob on. So 16th place, Brighton had a surprising season last year, much to their credit. They picked up points against both Chelsea and Wolves, and a fantastic win against Arsenal post-lockdown. This is really what inspired me to put them in 16th. I didn't think they were going to be relegated. I think they had enough talent to stay up. But at the end of the day, they didn't take their chances, and they really didn't take their chances, and they could have been higher up in the Premier League season. They really could have been higher up this season, but they've survived, and it gives them something absolutely fantastic, a basis to build off, and that is most important for Brighton and Hove Albion. Moving on into 15th place, we have Leeds United.
Oh, okay.
And I put Leeds United in 15th because I wasn't overly sold on them. I thought, I've said this in multiple videos, that I thought there was going to be a cap to Leeds United's fast attacking football, where they let people have a lot of chances, but they also take a lot of chances themselves. And I wasn't overly convinced. 15th, I think I'll say in this paragraph that I think Leeds United would have taken a 15th. They would have taken a 15th, but they finished 9th. Fair play to them. I didn't expect that. Let's move on. Moving on to 14th place, we have Newcastle United. This one I've got 2 out. They were in 12th place at the end of the season. Newcastle had a very respectable season, finishing 13th last year, and I predicted a similar season to that. And looking at it, they finished 12th. They maybe could have finished, well, anywhere from sort of 18th to about 12th at one point, and they look like they're in a relegation battle. Steve Bruce said, bear with us, once we get the players back, we'll do well, and that's what they did. They had a fantastic final few months and propelled themselves up to 12th, so fair play to Newcastle. They've done the job, they've survived relegation, and hopefully with a few changes at that club, they can start pushing on and moving further up the table yet again. Moving on to 13th place, and this is another mare that I have had. 13th place, I have put West Ham United. I don't think anyone predicted West Ham United to finish 6th this season. I thought that West Ham should be competing further up. There's literally the second line on here. West Ham are a club that should be competing further up the table, but since they lost Dimitri Payet, have been floating around the bottom half. If the Hammers start the season how they finished, they could really challenge for top half this season. And that's what they did. They started this last season how they finished the season before, and they managed to push on. And what a season they have had. Fair play to David Moyes. Jared Bowen's been fantastic. Lingard's been great when he's come in. All I have is praise for them. And to be honest with you, I think 13th was generous at the beginning of the season. And my God, have they succeeded expectations this year. Next, we will move on to 12th place. And 12th place, I did predict Sheffield United.
No! No! No!
Sheffield United was a really hard one. Not many people expected them to have such a bad second season as they did. And unfortunately, they've got relegated and they've been absolutely awful all season long, finishing in 20th place. There's not really much I can really say about that. You can see what I've put there. The season they got promoted, I was very sceptical of them, and I put them to finish 20th. I tried to learn my lesson, and it went drastically wrong for me. Absolutely drastically wrong. 11th place, I went for Southampton. Southampton at one point would have absolutely succeeded my expectation of them, and then the second half of the season, my God, did they swing. They looked really good at the beginning of the season, then it just fell off for Southampton. 15th place is what they finished in, and not a great season for Southampton considering the brilliance that they had at the beginning of the year. And where did Danny Ings go, by the way? He just disappeared off the face of the earth when times got tough. And unfortunately for the Saints, they finished in 15th. Now we move on to the top 10. And the top 10, 10th, I have put Everton. Oh, that's another one. I got absolutely spot on. I totally forgot they finished 10th because at the final day of the season, they weren't finishing 10th, were they? They were a little bit higher up, but Leeds and Arsenal, I believe, both overtook them. So they finished in 10th, bang on, and I think, again, Everton, a little bit disappointing considering the start they made. But mid-table side, not an awful season. Carlo Ancelotti looking to move to Real Madrid again. I mean, I can't see him next season doing much better. This was their season if they were going to challenge for that top 4, and they've absolutely bottled it. Moving on into 9th, I had Burnley.
Not another one? Oh, for God's sake, I can't stand this.
Burnley, for me, this season have been one of those teams that have really struggled because of the coronavirus. They finished in 17th. Sean Dyche has done his job. He's kept them in the league. And to be honest with you, could have finished anywhere up to 12th with a few results going their way. I'm not overly bothered about this prediction because, like I said, I think the coronavirus and not being able to bring players in, not having the budget, has really made this team suffer. And so, unfortunately for Burnley, it has been a poor season, but I think they'll do a little bit better next season, provided that they can turn this form around and start getting, a few consistent runs of form and a few consistent games like we're used to seeing Burnley have. Moving on into 8, and I put Jamie Vardy's Leicester, and They finished 5th, and Leicester, I believe, didn't have a strong enough side to really compete with the teams above them, and I stick by that. I think that's why they've ended up ultimately falling out of the top 4, because just when they needed the Champions League, the experience, that sort of experienced player, they didn't really have it. And another good year for Jamie Vardy as well, though. I did hope for another one, and we got another one. Moving into 7th, I had Wolves, and this is one of the teams, man. One of the teams that really disappointed me this season. Losing Raul Jimenez completely stunted the growth of Wolves this season, and I thought they were gonna push up there again. I thought they really were gonna have a solid season. The loss of Raul Jimenez has really affected them. I wonder how they'll bounce back now without Nuno Espirito Santo in their ranks. Then we move on to 6th place. I had Arsenal, and I did not believe the hype around Arsenal, and I'm so glad that that didn't come true. As now Champions League winners, if you didn't know, Chelsea won the Champions League. But I didn't believe the hype. I predicted them 2 places higher than they ultimately finished. They signed Willian. I didn't think that was an overly good signing. I said he can win you games, he's a good set-piece specialist, but that's about it. And he didn't really add much to the strike force. I thought Arsenal could cause real trouble next season, and they didn't. Let's be honest, they didn't cause real trouble, and that's why they are sat down in 8th place rather than the 6th, which I predicted for them. Moving on, and of course we know now that I've got 5th wrong, because I've already predicted Leicester, and West Ham as well, who finished 6th, sorry. But I predicted Tottenham to finish 5th, and I think a 5th place for Tottenham wouldn't have been an awful season. They ended up finishing 4-5 points off the top 4, which isn't a bad season. They should be doing better. It's Tottenham Hotspur at the end of the day. We move on to the top 4. And in 4th place, I've got my 4th correct prediction. This is so much better than last year's. So in 20th position, we had Aston Villa. I pointed out that it's important for Chelsea to realise they are a top 4 side without these signings. I wasn't optimistic at the idea of bringing in 6-7 new players who hadn't played in the Premier League, and I think that's what has really taken the edge out of Chelsea over the course of the Premier League season. It's worked fantastically in the Champions League. Players stepping up in the Champions League, because you can play in a Champions League because you've played in it before. I think I was a little bit pessimistic, but my pessimism has actually worked out for me here, and they did finish in 4th place, making that my 4th correct prediction. Oh mate, this is sick. 3rd place, I predicted Manchester United. The reason I expected them to finish in 3rd place was there was a lot of controversy around this Manchester United side, with stuff going on with Mason Greenwood, stuff going on with Harry Maguire, and of course they were massively linked to Jadon Sancho, and I said if they could sign Sancho they would be a force to be reckoned with. They didn't, and other than winning the league in January, as they like to say, they haven't really done much from that point on. They've been a little bit shaky. I don't think this is a bad prediction at all. I mean, it's not hard to predict them, to be honest with you. But in 2nd place, I actually predicted Liverpool. The one thing I thought about this Liverpool side was Gini Wijnaldum had been linked to Barcelona quite frequently, and I said that they didn't maybe have the strongest of squads or squad depth without them, and that ended up happening. We didn't expect it to be the defenders that were necessarily going to be the problem, but I thought it'd be one of the front 3, and that the tactics might run a little bit dry. It did seem to happen for a little while. At the end of the day, they've managed to finish 3rd. Not an awful season for Liverpool, considering where they were sort of 2 months ago. Not a bad prediction, and of course that does mean that I've got my 5th correct prediction of the season, with Manchester City regaining their top spot. I had written this before Ruben Diaz had been brought in, and I pointed out that they have bought well, signing Nathan Ake. Ake hasn't had the influence that I maybe thought, but I did say they were looking to reinforce defensively, and I think that was where they were really, really struggling this season. And being able to buy these players in has really helped Manchester City in the Premier League specifically. And I said, we saw how well that they performed without Sane last season. I didn't think that would be a problem. It wasn't a problem. And Ferran Torres, who came in when they needed him, did a fantastic job as well. So there are my Premier League predictions for last season. How do you think I got on? I don't think I did too bad. I sort of had 3 or 4, 3 that were massively wrong, but I got 5 bang on. Not too bad, including my own team. Maybe people should listen to me in the future. Probably not. I mean, I did get Aston Villa drastically wrong. Whoops. Anyway, that concludes today's video. If you have enjoyed, like I said at the beginning, be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe. We're trying to move on to 400 subscribers, and it would be a mental number. So if you can help me, go on, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, guys, and most importantly, stay safe. Cheers.